Alright everyone, I don't typically weigh in on Dutch sociopolitics. I figure it's not really my place because I'm a resident of the Netherlands, but I'm not a citizen of the Netherlands. Like, I can't vote, I can't hold office. I'm not fluent in the language, I don't know all of the ins and outs of Holland. So I tend to be reluctant to weigh in on anything that could be conceived of as socio-political with regards to the Netherlands. If I talk about the Netherlands, it's typically, differential experience between here and the United States or something. Like I pointed out, the Dutch, they really love gardening. That's one of the main positive traits. The Netherlands is basically a giant garden and farm. That we'll get to farming in a moment. But they also tend to be litter bugs, and as a Vermonter, we have like Green Up Day and shit like that. It's just a little bit weird because the Netherlands is definitely more environmentally conscious than most of the United States, so that part I don't really get. People just throw their fucking bikes in the canals. By the way, no, that's not a mythology. They have like crane trucks that go through the canals every year and pick up the trash. I've seen them do it. You'd be surprised what's in those fucking drainage canals. Anyway, this one is a little bit beyond the pale, so I'm going to weigh in on it. It's sort of tractor protest related. By the way, I support those. I'm assuming that on this news they'll probably be reviving them. The Dutch government wants to close 3,000 farms in the Netherlands in order to comply with EU rules with regards to nitrogen runoff. Dude, EU rules mean absolutely nothing. Nations violate them flagrantly all the fucking time. You shouldn't. This is basically just an excuse to grab up this farmland and develop it. What they're going to do is they're going to designate areas as environmentally important, and they'll happen to be near cities and towns. Places where they might want to develop. They might want a new the car factory. They might want a new refinery. They might want another Heineken brewery. Maybe they just want to build mid-density housing. The Netherlands right now is experiencing massive population growth because of its particular economic importance, especially within banking in Amsterdam and certain other industries in other parts of the Netherlands. There's a housing boom here. Enschede's way out of the way. We're next to the German border. From the hotel I was in where I did my live stream for the midterms, I could literally see Germany not that far off in the fucking distance. We're way in the hinterlands, nowhere near Amsterdam. There are 5 or 6 goddamn housing projects alone within a 5 or 6 block radius of where we currently live. There are also businesses going up. There are factories going up. It's insane. I mean, the closest thing to this that I've ever seen, Rio Grande Valley down in Texas, and that's because of mass immigration along the southern border. It happens to be a fairly nice spot. You can grow your avocados. You might have to buy your water at a pumping station that looks awfully like a gas station in order for it to be potable. They've got some issues with their water infrastructure down there. But this effectively is just to take tens or hundreds of thousands of acres of land and develop it to make houses, medium density, to make houses like here, a little courtyard garden or something. This is bullshit. This is not to protect the environment. It has nothing to do with climate change. They're not going to set most of this land aside and let it go fallow. It's not going to become a forest. It's not going to become a wetland preserve or something. It's going to become houses. Now, there's plenty, like I said, the Dutch love gardening. There'll be plenty of gardens and stuff. There will be less nitrogen runoff because you're not fertilizing crops. If someone uses a little bit of nitrogen in their garden, that's fine. It'll reduce the runoff, but it's not going to stay undeveloped. The Dutch are going to be crammed in like sardines. 3,000 farms is a hell of a lot of goddamn acreage in a country this size. It's not much more than twice the size of my home state. My home state is goddamn tiny. You can drive from side to side in it in less than an hour at the southern edge. If the roads were better, if we actually had highways in the state, it'd take you 30 minutes to get to Burlington from Rutland, probably. You can do that, by the way, here much more easily because everything's flat as a washboard. Beyond the greenery and scenery, there's not really much of a comparison to be made. Vermont is basically one giant mountain. What we call valleys. The lowlands is still rolling hills that looks like something out of Montana or whatever. The Dutch government is doing this to grab up land. Now, the one saving grace is that they're offering money for it. It's not outright confiscation. They're going to go to the farmers and say, look, we'll buy your land for 150% of its value. You got 20 acres here, and land is goddamn expensive in the Netherlands. You're going to make out like a bandit. We'll buy your house too, so don't worry. There's another couple extra million euros. They're going to make these people pretty wealthy. In the end, though, you're in an era where we're, one bad harvest away from a major food crisis in parts of the world. You have famines already, repeatedly in parts of the world. You have hunger. You have and other problems with the nutrition. And you're saying you can't grow your Ondivy plants anymore. What are they going to do if the farmers don't sell? If the farmers just lock, stock, and barrel say, no, we're not selling, we're going to keep farming, I like my wide open space here in Friesland, fuck off. Eventually, they will compel them to sell. Eventually, they will attempt to confiscate the land. They may still pay them fair market value, but they'll attempt to take the land. And that's because they want to sell it to developers. In the end, the taxpayers won't absorb any cost. The developers will come in, they'll pay even more than what over spot you gave the farmer. That's perfectly fine. That balances the books real well. And then what do they have? More tax revenue. They want to turn the Netherlands into a super city anyway. The Amsterdam is noted as being the center. This is a far-off globalist plan. It's probably not actually going to happen. But there are plans to turn Amsterdam into sort of the city of the world, like the Whore of Babylon sort of thing, linking it up to everything as far out as like Paris and Brussels with a massive-ass goddamn network, creating a massive cosmopolitan area that would be bigger than the entirety of the Netherlands. If you're a farmer, therefore, in the middle of the Netherlands, you're growing tulip bulbs or something, you're not part of that plan. I hate to tell you, but you have to sell off and then move into your medium density home. No more big lawn for you. Only the super rich will be able to have more than a half acre of land. They're the only ones that'll be allowed to have it. I've seen some lavish-ass goddamn places in the Netherlands. Random odd places, because basically the whole country is already one giant city. When you really think about it, it's interspersed with patches of farmland. Even though there's a lot of fucking farmland here, too. It's a very strange infrastructure when everything's perfectly flat. It's like a SimCity game that already got pre-leveled. It's a little bit more efficient. If you get rid of these farms, you're going to turn what is right now the only food-stable country in the EU. You're the only one that creates more food than it consumes. And you're going to get rid of that advantage. You have an advantage over literally the entire rest of Europe, especially if food prices soar out of sight due to demand issues. The Netherlands stands to make a huge profit for this. Why do you think the Dutch farmers generally do pretty well? They don't even have to use fucking pesticides. I think they've eliminated pesticide usage in the country too. I don't honestly know how they fucking do it. They found a way. But then again, the Dutch managed to create a gigantic artificial island that's below sea level just using windmills. So don't underestimate their engineering capabilities. I like the Dutch countryside. What you could call countryside. It's still developed. The farms are nice. You've got moo cows and shit like that. When we were on the rail through to Friesland, to Pines where we used to live, it looked like a Minecraft super flat world. There's just flocks of animals and greenery as far as the eye can see with little villages off in the distance. To me, it was almost like stepping into a goddamn video game. I thought it was quite novel. It's also profitable to grow food. The Dutch people have food security. They can get a lot of the foods that they eat locally. You've got fucking meats, you've got cheeses, you've got vegetables, you've got fruits, all these things grown locally. You know where your food is from. You can walk 30 minutes and you can see the farm where your berries just came from. I think that's an advantage. This is an advantage shared, by the way, in parts of Vermont. One that's being pissed away likewise by the Vermont state government and its hyper-regulatory systems. So my condolences to the poor people of the Netherlands who have to deal with a government that wants to literally get rid of a bunch of farms. Dude, trust me, in most of the U.S., they're trying to figure out ways to keep people from leaving farming. You happen to have the advantage of having these long-historied family farms that are still in running 500 years later. Don't let the government get rid of them. That's about all. Peace out.